What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to This Week in Sports. I am your host, Romeo Sharpe, as always. Well, before we get started, hold on, let me get a sip of my tea. It's throat coat, y'all. It really soothes the throat. But yes, welcome back, everyone. I just want to give you guys a quick shout out and just show you guys that I appreciate you guys so much for engaging so far and just really, tuning in and just being wonderful fans or being wonderful listeners. And I really appreciate y'all for that. With that being said, again, we're already in March, by the way, y'all. We're already in March. And, March is a pretty important or important month in terms of sports, too. Like, I think, so it's crazy. The first 3 months of the new year, it's always just jam-packed because you got January, you got NFL playoffs in January. February, you got the Super Bowl. In March, you got, You got March Madness. The NBA season is kind of going deeper into the NBA season. You got, Combine. What is it? What else is it? What is it? Free agency? Free agency, Noah? Right? Yeah. Yep. So we got NFL free agency as well. So, like, these first 3 months are so concentrated with so much content. Like, I would love to try to get everything out the way, get everything into each episode, but it's tough. I ain't gonna lie, because like there's so much going on, and there's a lot of breaking news happening every single day, especially around this time, late February, early March. It's kind of crazy, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot on me, and it's like kind of gets overwhelming from time to time. Just having to go in and look into every single thing that's happening around, the sports world, like whether it's football, basketball.
Can I say something real quick?
What's up, Noah?
It is sports related technically because it is sports entertainment. But how do you feel about John Cena turning heel? You know what heel means, right? Like
okay. Yeah. So heel means it's just it's basically actually kind of explain it to me.
John Cena is now a bad guy, and yeah. So to me, that is just something that fans have been wanting for a really long time. I mean, I know that's technically not real; it's all rigged, but the stuff that they're doing is real in the ring. Don't make me get on this tangent. No, yeah, okay. Anyway, John Cena.
I definitely get what you mean, and it's with John Cena. I mean, I used to watch wrestling as a kid, y'all. I haven't been so caught up as of late with wrestling, and I think the last time I actually watched a wrestling match was probably like 2011, roughly around that time. But John Cena was like what they call him, like the baby face of the WWE or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
there's baby face and there's heel.
Yeah, so there's babyface. Babyface is basically the good guy who's everyone loves and all the fans enjoy, and his promos are never are always like tailored towards like more of a friendlier vibe. But then when it comes to turning heel, like Noah already explained, y'all, like he's basically a villain now, and he's in the later end of his career. Anyways, what is it? Is he retiring after?
He's retiring this year.
He is retiring this year. And John Cena's a legend, y'all. I ain't gonna, in wrestling, like his entertainment, he knows how to work a good promo. And obviously, if you guys watch, he's pretty good in his movies too. So, one of my favorite movies from him was Marines, I think. I think it was like Marines or something like that.
The Marine,
that's what it's called. That was a really good movie by John Cena. But besides that, again, we have a pretty jam-packed episode for you guys today. Starting off with our first segment, Deebo Samuels has unofficially been traded to the Washington Commanders. Unofficially, because the new league year in the NFL does not start until I think March 12th, and then that trade can be official. But we all know with trades. The trades are not official not even until that person gets in the building. They gotta literally sign their contract, and they need to and any type of other stipulations that goes into that. That's when it's actually official, because obviously what we know from the NBA with Mark Williams, I mean, he got into the Lakers building, but that trade got vetoed because he failed his physical. Or the Lakers failed his physical, like I mentioned before. So yeah, like I said, he's unofficially traded until the new year, which is, like I said, March 12th. He was traded from San Francisco 49ers to the Commanders, which was crazy because he just signed a 3-year extension for $71 million back in 2022. I think his biggest issue was for Deebo Samuels, y'all, was productivity. He had career lows all of last season. He had 670 receiving yards on 51 catches, and he only touched the end zone 3 times. And then, I mean, obviously they have Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. So they had so many like superstars, and like I think it was too many mouths to feed, and I think another issue was Deebo Samuel's weight too, because like he was a little bit of a meme that he had like a beer belly going on while he was there in San Fran in his last year, this last year. But I think for the Commanders though, this is a low risk, high reward for them, I believe, because like I said, they only gave up a 5th round pick for him, so that's what the details came down to. Deebo Samuel was traded to the Commanders, and the Commanders sent over a 5th round pick. So again, low risk, high reward. I believe he will really complement Terry McLaurin and that offense as well, because you have Terry McLaurin, you have Austin Eckler, and you have Brian Robinson Jr. on that team, on that squad. And then it's also a really nice new weapon for Jaden Daniels as well, who is the reigning offensive rookie of the year as well. So, and he was doing it all with just Terry McLaurin as his wide receiver 1. And, he has some other guys around him, but I don't think they complement as well as way Deebo Samuels can. He was an all-around player. I think I mentioned this before, that he's one of those gadget guys that, that's been coming into the league. Like a lot of these guys are coming into the league that play every like major skills position on offense. He could line them up at running back, line them up at receiver, and just inside, outside, whichever one. Now, I'm not quite sure that they can dethrone the Eagles in the NFC East, but they're pretty damn close, y'all. They're pretty damn close. Obviously, they played each other in the NFC Championship game where the Eagles dominated the Commanders. But with that being said, though, I think they're right there. They're right there. They got one of those pieces, and the Commanders, I think everything's looking pretty okay for the Commanders. As for the Niners, though, now what I thought was a huge asset in Deebo, he's now I think he was a huge asset for them, and I thought if they were to trade him, they'll get a little bit more than a 5th round pick, maybe a 3rd, maybe even a day 2 pick. I thought his price tag was a little bit higher than that, but it might also impact Brock Purdy, who he had a rough year last year as well. He didn't produce as well as he did in years prior. But the Niners are also taking calls on potentially trading Brandon Ayuk as well. But I think with this trade, though, it helps alleviate stress off the front office, because the reason being is because, like I said, with all these mouths to feed and with Deebo wanting the ball so often, I think that kind of takes the pressure off them, and then it helps them get ready to pay Brock Purdy and contract negotiations. So, but with the Niners, though, they could grab another wideout in the draft this year, alongside with their 2nd-year wide receiver, Ricky Purcell. But let's kind of go into let me try to grade these teams based off this trade. For the Commanders, I give them a solid A, because you get a guy in Deebo Samuels. Yes, he's 30 years old, but I believe his productivity on the field prior to this last season, it was pretty outstanding. And like I said, you can line him up anywhere, and he can be a mismatch for any linebacker, any safety. If you put him up in the backfield, you have Jaden Daniels, who's a dual threat guy. Things are looking pretty good for the Commanders. As for the Niners, I'll give them like a C+. Yes, they got rid of Deebo Samuels. They had, like I said, he had concerns about his productivity. They had concerns about him, maybe his weight and stuff like that. And that 5th round pick, you could possibly use that for something. I don't know what they can get with that, but you could definitely use that for something. And so I'd give them like a C+, like I said, and that helps out in the long run for this team, because, like I said, Brock Purdy his payday's coming up, so they need to pay up Brock Purdy as well. So, but my question to y'all is: do you think the Commanders are a lock in the NFC East? Can they surpass the Eagles? where will the Niners go from here? What will be their next move? Are they moving on from Brandon Ayuk as well? Let me know what you guys know. Let me know what you guys think down below, okay? And with all these trades going on, I didn't touch on one trade in particular that happened in the NBA, which would be the Jimmy Butler trade. He was another big name that was traded before the NBA trade deadline. He was traded to the Warriors from the Heat. It was a 5-team trade. I'm not going to go into too much logistics on the other couple teams, unless know if you can figure out who the other teams were. I know, but the two most important teams was the Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors, and with Jimmy Butler being the most important asset of that trade. Andrew Wiggins, though, was sent to Miami alongside with Kyle Anderson and a 2025 protected first-round pick as well. I really think that relationship with Pat Riley in the Miami front office was very toxic. Very toxic. He was suspended. Noah, do you know how long Jimmy Butler was suspended for?
I have him on my fantasy team, and he did not play a lot of games, I'll tell you that. He was suspended for 2 games due to a pattern of detrimental conduct. And then he missed a flight to Milwaukee. Then they suspended him for an indefinite amount of time without pay after he walked out of practice. So basically, he was just setting himself up to fail. The suspension was all supposed to be at least 5 games, and it kind of took it straight through into the trade deadline. So yeah, he was just suspended, and he was waiting to get traded.
Do you think he just didn't want to be there?
Well, I mean, if you look at it like this, a lot of people say Jimmy Butler is kind of a diva. I get that, but I also get where he's coming from, because you take a team that's probably not even supposed to be to the finals twice, and you still don't get him help for the next 2 years. Like, you can't really be happy in a situation like that. So I don't blame him for wanting to leave.
Now I'm thinking, where should we put this blame at? I think we should put this blame at Pat Riley, y'all, because look, I was watching Nightcap the other day, and they were talking about a story that D Wade was talking about with LeBron James and cookies, right, y'all? So it very, very, very random. I thought there was no significance to it, but I think it was in one of LeBron's last years with Miami. He was on a plane, and what was it? D-Wade said that he has his routine where he has, I don't know what type of cookies it were, but he has these cookies that are on board on his flight every time they're leaving, they're traveling to play a different team or something like that. And I guess Pat Riley wanted to put his foot down, and they didn't. The cookies weren't on the plane that day, and D-Wade said that looked like that was the turning point for LeBron. To leave Miami, because I think this with Pat Riley, I think a lot of players describe him as just very hard-headed and really just rigorous as an owner. Correct me if I'm wrong, Noah, because I've heard a lot of Pat Riley, he's a legendary owner, but I think at the same time I've heard a lot of negativity going his way.
I mean, yeah, he's kind of old school. And it's either his way or the highway. He thinks he knows best. And granted, he is a legend, like you said. He's also done really well. I mean, he's gotten look at their team. They were built up from the ground up. Like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Bam. They didn't sign. Their biggest signing was Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. They didn't sign to get a big 3 and create a big team, a big 3 team around Jimmy Butler. They built him up, and granted, yeah, that got them to the finals a few times, but after it doesn't work a few times, and Jimmy Butler is getting older. He's 35. He's just getting older. He's not regressing, but it's getting harder for him to carry a team like he did in 2020. Mm-hmm. Was it 2023 that he went to the finals or something like that? Mm-hmm. I don't know, but yeah, I don't blame him for being mad. Pat Riley. I mean, yeah, you got Andrew Wiggins out of it, which is cool, and you still kept a lot of your players.
Yeah, your young guys, yeah, or the guys that you've been building from the ground up, like you said. You still have Tyler Hero, and you still got Bam. So it's it's just the whatever going on in that Miami locker room. We gotta hopefully that thing gets hashed out. Hopefully, we don't see any other big name players like Tyler or Bam get shipped out, just because of how Pat Riley goes about things.
I'll say this too. Pat Riley is stubborn, but so is Jimmy Butler. Because Jimmy Butler, he was not gonna come back to the team regardless. He said that he just wants to go. He had a press conference saying that he just wants to go somewhere and get his happiness back playing basketball. And he said it straight up. It's not going to be in Miami. So he's stubborn too. Like, he came back for 2 games and he barely shot the ball. He shot I'm saying all this because he's on my fantasy team and he was not giving me any production. So I'm kind of mad about that. However, he was shooting 4 times a game, and then he got suspended, and he got suspended again, and then it's just he wasn't gonna play in Miami regardless if they traded him or not. So I mean, it's just you gotta make a move, or you're not gonna get anything back in return because he was gone.
Yeah,
and then he ended up signing a 2-year extension with the team that he was traded to anyway. So he wants to be in Golden State, and they're 8-2 now. They were on a very long win streak with Jimmy Butler, and he's been looking great. Yeah,
so and speaking of the productivity, since the trade, they are 7-1 with Jimmy Butler since the trade. I think he was out for 1 game. I believe he was injured, so we won't count that. But they're the 7th seed in the West right now. And then since joining the team, Jimmy Butler is averaging 16 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, which is, not out of this world, but he's definitely, putting up some numbers and stuff like that. He's having one of the best shooters of all time already in Steph. The trade has seemed already to elevated Steph Curry's play already, y'all. So last Thursday, Steph Curry dropped 56 points against the Magic, okay?
Yeah, I think the trade you're not gonna be excited about the trade because Jimmy Butler's gonna go out and score 30 points a night for the Warriors. I think you're gonna be excited more about the trade because he alleviates pressure off Stephen Curry, which is, like you said, one of the greatest shooters of all time, one of the greatest players of all time, and it kind of unlocked him to have less pressure on his shoulders. And Jimmy Butler can take some of that off, but he doesn't have to do too much because look at Steph has a lot in his tank still too. So it kind of just balances out that whole team. I think it was a good move. What about you? I
really think it was a good move, and because like I said, he dropped 56 last Thursday. Like I said, he unlocked Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry's younger self is prevalent now. By the way, Steph has the most 50-point games after turning 30 with 9. He drilled 12 threes that game, and by the way, y'all, that was his 45th career game of 9 plus 3 points made. The next closest guy, I believe, Noah, is Damian Lillard with 14. But yeah, there's a wide margin of guys who could really shoot the way that Steph can shoot, and that's just it's just really amazing just seeing bringing in a player like Jimmy, how it elevates everyone's play around him. Especially, like I said, one of the greatest shooters of all time is Steph. And what's crazy, what's interesting to me is there's a little quick fact right here. Is on February 27th. So I think Steph has had 3 career February 27th games, and in each of those games, y'all, he's dropped 54 points, 46 points, and 56 points. So I don't know what's in the air on February 27th, but Steph Curry really, really enjoys that date in particular, and he just balls out. And then again, with Jimmy being there now, Steph is actually averaging over 30 points per game, and he's shooting over 50%. So that's, like I said, Jimmy Butler has unlocked younger Steph, I believe. But my main thing is, what does Jimmy bolster the Warriors' playoff chances? And then, can this be the year the Warriors win the finals again? Let me know what you guys think down below, okay? Kind of steering away from NBA. Let's get into one of the most controversial things that happened this weekend. On Saturday night, we had Gervonta Davis take on Lamont Rose Jr. in the 12-round fight. What was it in Brooklyn? I think it was in Brooklyn, New York, somewhere in there. Leading up to that fight, Tank was 30-0, y'all. He was 30-0. He has 28 knockouts. But it looked like in this fight in particular, I think it was something in the air. A lot of people around me, a lot of folks around me, a lot of casual boxing fans, were around me thinking this fight seems a little bit out of Gervonta's reach. And No pun intended. I mean, the man's 5'5", y'all. That's a short man. He's a very, very compact man. But again, I ain't going in the ring with him. I'm not gonna lie. I ain't even gonna try to take him in the ring. But there's something that happened that was controversial in that fight. So in the 9th round, Tank Davis actually he took a knee. And then he claimed to be the grease from braided hair. Now I can relate to that. I used to get my hair braided, and the product that's in your hair. If you are going to work out or you're playing some type of sport, it kind of runs down your face and it can get in your eye, and that it does sting. It does sting. Now that could be the case here with Tank, but in boxing though, the rule states that if a fighter hits the canvas with any part of the body other than the feet, that it is considered It's a knockdown. So let's kind of dive in. Like if we're looking at like the total punches landed, Gervonta Davis landed 103 to Roach's 112. I think Roach was a little bit more active in this fight. He threw 400 punches, so roughly around there. So he was a little bit more active in that one, y'all. In that sense. I think I don't know what it can. I think most of the judges they all. I think 2 of the 3 judges or something around those lines. I think it was an even fight to them, and I think one judge actually scored it in favor of Tank. So I don't know, and then the reaction from everyone in the sports world, whether it be Tank himself, everyone was booing him, and everyone's like, he's already excited though. He's already excited for a rematch. He's talking about at the end of May he wants to get a rematch going with Roach Jr. But that being ultimately because the fight ended in a draw, and this is like the first. I guess you could say this is the first blemish on Tank's career. Like I said, he's 30-0 now. I mean, now he's 30-0-1, but it's like this first little blemish right here. I think it upset him, and then it obviously upset boxing fans because a lot of people believe that Roach Jr. was robbed. But what did you guys think of this fight, though? For anyone that watched it, like was Roach Jr. robbed? I mean, should they rematch? Should it be so soon, like he's saying in May, or should they kind of work up until maybe at the end of the year, have a nice end of the year rematch between those two? Let me know what you guys think down below. I mentioned it last week too. We had the NFL Combine. That thing came and went, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. That thing came and it went. It was fun seeing a lot of these players. I mistakenly said that Travis was gonna try out and do like the 40-yard dash and stuff like that. He didn't even participate in any drills like that. Which, like I said, players with his status, like him, Cam Ward, and Shador. Hold on, y'all. Like players with his status, there's not much they can gain or lose in this combine. But I want to kind of go into and dive into a couple of our winners and our losers of this NFL Combine, actually. So one of our risers was Matthew Golden. He's the wide receiver out of Texas. He had 58 catches for 987 yards and 9 touchdowns in 16 games for the Longhorns last season. In his 40 time, he clocked a 4.29, which was the second fastest at the Combine and was the fastest of the wide receiver group. And then he did really well in the individual drills as well. And I think he really solidified himself as the first round wide receiver. Hell, he might be the first wide receiver off the board just based off of his performance in that Combine this year. He did really well, and they said in his pre-draft interviews he was really well. He knew how to really articulate his answers and stuff like that. He really seems like a team guy. Now, his teammate, though, Isaiah Bond, now he went on the podium on Friday, and I'm sure many of y'all seen this. He went on the podium and stated that he will be the one to beat the record of the 40-yard dash, which was held by Xavier Worthy last year, which was one of his other teammates, which was like a 4.21. It was officially a 4.21. And he said he was up there talking, which is fine, have your confidence, but you got to at least back it up in some sense, So he said he could run up to maybe a 4.1. But unfortunately, he failed to back up those claims, and he ran, now this isn't slow by any means, but he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. Like I said, not slow by any means, but, he definitely missed the mark with that one. I don't think that's going to hurt his draft stock too much for Isaiah Bond, but at the same time, like I said, he just failed to back up those claims. And then he was also he was mocked by Xavier Worthy on Twitter. Xavier Worthy went on to tweet. He said, "There's fast, and then there's me," which that's that's pretty insane if you ask me. My next guy that I think that rose was Basul Tutin. He was a running back out of Virginia Tech. Now I might have butchered his name, but he played, and he was under the radar this year just because he played over at Virginia Tech. They weren't really that good this year. He had 183 carries for 1,159 rushing yards. That's almost roughly 6.5 yards a pop, y'all. That's nothing too low right there. He had 15 touchdowns on the year as well. He clocked a 4.32 40-yard dash. He had a vertical of 40.5 inches. He really just rose himself up with the likes of Ashton Genty. I could possibly see him slip into the first round, maybe be an early second round pick. Now, a guy that fell, though, which really surprised me, was Tez Johnson. He was the wide receiver out of Oregon. Now, his stats on the year, he had 83 catches for 898 yards, and he had 10 touchdowns. And then he ran a 4.5140, which is the slowest of any player under 170 pounds. The man is, since 2003, the man is 5'9", 154 pounds, y'all. And so he ran that running that 40 is probably, his draft stock probably went down, unfortunately, with that one. And then another guy that I felt like that fell down as well was Ollie Gordon II. He's the running back out of Oklahoma State. Now, he's been having issues last year. He had a DUI back in June, or it was like a suspicion of DUI, something along those lines. He had an underwhelming junior year. So he went from a Heisman hopeful to a projected first-round pick to probably an uncertain future. It was tough to see, watch Ollie Gordon this year. I had high hopes for him. I played with Oklahoma State in the college football and NCAA. In an NCAA game that just recently came out too. He had 880 yards on the ground on 190 carries, and then he had less than 5 yards a carry. He had 13 touchdowns though in 12 games as well. He clocked a 40-yard dash of 4.61, which is not too fast, but it's not too slow either. But like I said, those numbers are just not what you expected out of the Heisman hopeful. Literally in August, we all thought he was one of the favorites. Actually, he had a 34.5 inch vertical as well. But I just need you guys to know that it's worth noting that even with an underwhelming or an overachieving combine, that does not really mean or solidify one's trajectory of one's career. It won't really, it won't make or break one's career. Obviously, their draft stock, it might plummet, it might rise. But like I said, with the combine, you can't really tell what type of career these players will have until after they get their first year. Hold on, y'all. I need to drink some water. With all that being said now, I have this new segment, y'all. I have this new segment where you, as the listeners, ask me any sports-related questions, and I give my opinions, my thoughts, etc. On the matter at hand. I like to call this segment the Sharp Angle. It's essentially a Q&A, and we'll...
Jesus Christ.
Noah... Noah, get us right started with the first question.
I didn't know that you were going to name it something. Okay. So our first question is, can the Cowboys win a Super Bowl? By the way, today, March 3rd, it is my dad's birthday. He's 55 years old. He is a Cowboy fan. He's the only Cowboy fan that I really know.
Hey, happy birthday to Jade, man.
So yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jade, man.
Anyway, do you think the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl at all?
In this decade, I kind of find it hard to believe that they can win with the Eagles and the Commanders being in that division alone. Even trying to win the conference, I don't know. Like even with Green Bay and the Lions, like there's just too much. There's too much firepower in the NFC for them to even squeeze out of there. Like I said, this decade, I can't see that happening. But I think in order for them to win, I think there's 5 things that need to happen. Number one, the most important is Jerry Jones has to sell the team or step down in a lesser role. With his personality, he's kind of the same as, Pat Riley in a sense of like, I'm the owner. This is my team. I make the decisions here. He's not old school in that sense, but like he wants everything to go like with Pat Riley, his way or the highway. And if he doesn't step down, they probably will go another 25 years without a Super Bowl run. So, like I said, I think the most important thing is he needs to step down as the owner. He needs to sell the team to someone else, and have more voices in the room. I believe. Number 2 thing though is they need to pay Micah Parsons, and I believe that they already are in contract negotiations right now. They need to lock him up for the next 4 to 5 years. I believe he's one of the most explosive defensive ends in the game. Take a look at the Eagles formula. They went into the Super Bowl, and that defensive line, they built that defensive line from the ground up themselves. Obviously, got some key players in free agency as well from that, but pay Micah Parsons up. My next thing would be probably look elsewhere at quarterback if Dak cannot stay healthy. But if he is healthy, I think they should really just trust in Dak and just really, move forward with him and just build pieces around him. And the same thing is like, get help around CeeDee Lamb, get a veteran wide receiver to complement with him, or draft a young guy. Draft someone that a first rounder guy that can complement with CeeDee Lamb as well. The 5th and final thing they've been having this issue the last couple of years. They need to be more aggressive in free agency. They lost the opportunity of getting Derrick Henry last year just because they didn't want to pay him that much. So they need to be definitely more aggressive with this with free agency. So that's probably the 5 things I think will need to happen for the Dallas Cowboys to win a Super Bowl.
All right. Next up, this is a kind of personal question, but do you hate baseball?
No, I don't necessarily hate baseball, but I'm be honest with you guys, I just don't watch it at all. There are some players that I really enjoy watching, like Shohei Ohtani. He's a really exciting guy to watch, and I might tune in more just because he's going to be pitching and he's also going to be batting this year. So I might tune in a little bit. I know the Dodgers, being in San Diego, the Dodgers are like their number 1 rivals. So I got to tread on water with that one. But I don't necessarily hate it. It's just like I said, I just don't watch it, y'all. So,
all right. Next up, do you have a list for your Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks?
Ooh. So yeah, is Mount Rushmore 5?
No, it is. No, it's 4.
It's 4.
You had to choose 4 quarterbacks. Who would you choose to put up there?
If I could choose 4 quarterbacks to put up in my Mount Rushmore of quarterback, I'd pick Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and hear me out, y'all, Drew Brees. Now, the reason why I picked these 4 guys is, one, the main reason, and it should be the reason for a lot of us, is because we grew up watching these people. We grew up watching these players. I can't tell you the likes of Joe Montana. I can't tell you the likes of Steve Young. Yeah, I watch the highlights. I hear about them and all that, but I didn't get to, see them in action and see them live. And not saying they're not great quarterbacks by any means necessary, but no, these 4 guys though are like my top guys overall. Now,
do you think that Tom Brady is the exception to that? Because I mean, he's widely regarded as like the greatest of all time. So would you say that Tom Brady on your Mount Rushmore at least just trumps everybody else? It doesn't matter if you grew up watching him or not.
I think with Tom Brady, and like that, and that's a great question, because with Tom Brady, yes, I think he's the only exception, because this man has 7 Super Bowls, y'all. This man was a winner. He has the most career passing yards. He has the most career touchdown passes. Look, the list goes on and on with Tom Brady, y'all. So with him, I think it is an exception. Like, obviously, if someone that wasn't able to watch him, or that just gets into football, let's say this year, I guess you would say, someone like Tom Brady is definitely that exception, because like I said, he is a bona fide winner, and he won with 2 franchises, by the way, y'all, not just one. He had a dynasty with New England, he had a 20-year run with them, and he had a couple years with Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl with them. So that's why Tom Brady, I think he's consensus number one. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Like, I was a Tom Brady hater, y'all. I hated this man with my guts. I was a Peyton Manning guy. I still am a Peyton Manning guy, and I still believe Peyton Manning is still one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time as well. Again, he is one of the few, along with Tom Brady, to win a Super Bowl with 2 teams. He has the most touchdown passes in a single season with 55, and no one's come close, even with a 17-game season now. Or was it 18? 17. Yeah, 17 with a 17-game season. Still, no one has really come close. And even with, he had the most passing yards in a single season. He has 5 MVPs, y'all, which is the most in NFL history. And no one's come close still. So that's why I put Peyton and Tom up there. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, it's pretty. I don't think it's recency bias, y'all. I think we've gotten enough Patrick Mahomes. He's got 3 Super Bowl rings, got 3 Super Bowl MVPs. His when you watch him, his off-script plays, his arm talent is out of this world. He's the fastest to reach 300 total touchdowns in 128 career games. He has the most touchdown passes in the first 75 career games. And it's like what are we doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? This man is the likely candidate to dethrone Tom Brady. He is the likely candidate. I think he's the number one guy that, when it's all said and done, he'll be right there, right next to Tom Brady. Hell, he might even, and it pains me to say as a Broncos fan, but he might surpass even Tom Brady and probably be the greatest quarterback of all time when it's all said and done. Now, for Drew Brees now, maybe you guys are, I know like Drew Brees only had 1 Super Bowl. He had no MVPs, which honestly, I think he got robbed. No, I know you're a Saints fan. I know, how do you feel about just Drew Brees not even getting any, recognition in that sense?
Well, it says a lot because, I mean, I am quote unquote a Saints fan. I'm a casual NFL fan, guys, but I'm like a quote unquote Saints fan because of Drew Brees. Like I grew up with Madden 12, Madden 11 when he was on the cover, one of those. But and I kind of just liked using him in Madden. So it's really stupid reasons for why I am a Saints fan. But as I watched and became a fan, Drew Brees has always been like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison to the NBA, like someone who doesn't have so many accolades and so many accomplishments, but you can just tell by the eye test and you can tell by the skill level that he's got it. Right?
Now, I would think now, don't shoot me now, but I'm thinking the good comparison for him would probably, I would say like AI. Allen Iverson,
yeah,
maybe. I think like AI, because both of those guys were super efficient players when they both played. I mean, for Drew Brees, he had 5,000 passing yard season, which is the most, which is crazy. Like, he just casually, throwing for 5,000 yards almost every single season. And then his career completion percentage, y'all, is, a 67.7, which is the second all-time among quarterbacks who have played at least 4 seasons. So, like, just his efficiency and just him as a player, he was a good stand-up guy, too, when New Orleans had, like, their when Hurricane Katrina came through. He was one of those guys that really just brought that city back to life as well. Him and Sean Payton, and Drew Brees was one of the shorter guys, and he still was making things work with his height, the players around him. Like I said, he was more than deserving of more than no MVPs, but I think Drew Brees is definitely up there as well. So
he was like the backbone of the Saints for his entire time there.
His entire time there, he was literally the guy. He was the
leader.
guy. He was the leader. So those are my 4. Just to recap, like I said Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees, y'all. So
no particular order in that, right? Just
no particular order,
just 4.
but I mean, number 1, Tom probably, but the rest of the guys, you can play around with if you like.
All right, we got a couple questions about the Chargers. What do you think the Chargers will do with their wide receiver problem?
Now, they have a problem, y'all. Quinton Johnson last season, that man had brick hands. Well, I was watching them in the playoffs, watching him in a couple games in the regular season. That man, I don't know. That man he did pretty well this year. But I think what they should do is they should try to trade for Brandon Ayuk, maybe Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, or even draft Teterona McMillan out of Arizona, Amika Buka out of Ohio State in the first round, or even Luther Burden III out of Missouri. Man, or they could go with Matthew Golden as well. any one of those young guys. I think they should draft one of those guys in this first round. Maybe look into the second, maybe. Or like I said, get one of these vet guys in Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp. They are up there in age a little bit, but all tremendous route runners and have really good sticky hands. But in Lad McConkey, their second year guy, he's a stud. That white boy is frying people. Okay, so just seeing him, what he could do. They got the tools. They obviously, like I said, they should definitely address that wide receiver problem either in free agency or via trade or just in the draft. So.
And then, secondly, do you think that they should let go of Bosa?
I would say yes, just because he is turning 30 this summer, and then it would save well over $25 million in cap relief if he is traded, or if they even release him. They can save a little bit more and put that money or those assets towards a receiver to help out. You can get a second, third round pick for the guy. I think if you trade him, I think so. First round might be kind of a high asking price, but I think maybe someone might spend it, might have to do what they have to do, like the Lions maybe. But they can definitely draft a guy like Kyle Leonard out of South Carolina with a day 2 pick, because he's a pretty good, and his draft stock went up from this combine as well. Kyle Leonard from South Carolina played really well this season. He's a young defensive end guy as well. He plays similar to Joey Bosa, so I think someone like that would definitely help out the team. So, but overall, they should probably move on from Joey Bosa.
All right, we got a few more questions here, but if you guys are, number one, enjoying the show, go ahead and like and subscribe to the show. Follow us on This Week in Sports Pod. Is it pod? Mm-hmm. Or is it show?
No, This Week in Sports Pod, yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah, This Week in Sports Pod. We do the little polls or whatever, so you guys can send in your questions there or just DM, and Romeo will get to it. But a few more questions here. Moving over to basketball. How much longer do you think LeBron James will play? Realistically speaking, because everybody's gonna say, "Oh, he can play for 10 more years if he wanted to," but like realistically speaking, he doesn't probably want to do this for much longer. So, how many more years do you think he's got in the NBA?
Honestly, I would say the same thing. He got 10 plus years on him, but yeah, he doesn't want to do this any much longer. I think it's all coming together with him. He got to play with his son, with Bronny. And so I think that was one of the main things he wanted to do. I don't know, maybe if he wants to wait for Bryce to come out. What is that? When's Bryce going to come out?
Bryce is in high school going into college, I think.
So what? Maybe like that's another 2-3 years. And like I said, it's an 82 game season, y'all.
Unless he goes straight to the NBA G League like he did with Bronny. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know.
And I think maybe he wants to wait for Bryce. Show love to Bryce as well. But overall, I'm going to say maybe 2-3 years. I think how this year will go will probably depend on that. If they can make it to the finals and win a championship, I think LeBron will probably give it one more year and then call it quits, y'all. But that's probably what I'm thinking, around the 2 to 3 year range. So,
and our final question for the day, what is your way too early NBA Finals predictions? Who do you have coming out of the West and who do you have coming out of the East?
Now, coming out the West, when the trade happened, when the Lakers traded for Luka, the one main thing I think a lot of people thought was their weakness was their defense. And I think, honestly, the Lakers have one of the top rated defenses still.
We have been killing
They've been killing people. Defense. So, look, I'm gonna go with the Lakers. I think the Lakers can come out the West. It's the Wild Wild West. You still got the Nuggets. You got OKC. Those teams, and then you got the Warriors coming back as well. You can't count out Steph. But I'm gonna go with the Lakers coming out the West, and then out the East. Ooh, the East is it's such a toss up, y'all. But I think Cleveland, maybe Cleveland. Nah, we're not gonna go Cleveland. We're gonna go with Boston, because Boston's still, they still got that same core that won the finals last year. So I'm gonna go with Boston. I think Lakers Celtics finals with few families. I think the Lakers can take that in 7 games, and I think the Lakers are your 2025 NBA champions. So
I just want to point out that the Thunder are still alive. They are 49-11. They're number 1 in the conference. Lakers are number 2 now. But they are 10 games behind the Thunder, 11 games technically, and the Cavs are ahead of the Celtics by 7 games, and they're in the number 1 spot. So I think it's just kind of interesting how you put the number 2 seed over the Thunder in the Western Conference, but you take the Celtics as the 2nd seed over Cleveland. Why is that? Is that just like a veteran thing, or is like you think it's an experience thing?
I think it really goes into experience. For both teams, OKC's young still, but they have playoff experience. Like SGA and all of them, they play really well. But I think it is that veteran presence for both the Celtics with Jason Tatum and all of them, and Jaylen Brown, and just having that playoff resume that they have already, dominating last year, getting to the finals, and then just for the Lakers as well. You can't ever count out LeBron, and I think he's putting up after turning 40, I think he's putting up MVP numbers even after turning 40. So he's averaging right around 26 points a game. So you can never count out LeBron, and that Lakers team is really they've been chugging. They've been really chugging along, and it feels like the pieces are finally kind of meshing. Like I said, Luka's he's getting more of a feel. Like I said, he had his first career triple-double against his former team last week. So, I think the pieces are just coming together. And JJ Redick, he's one hell of a coach, so just coming straight off a podcast, podcasting himself and, critiquing everyone around him, to just go in there and just with the likes of someone like LeBron too, just, trying to be able to coach someone like him and just the players around him as well. So, like I said, I think, the Lakers and Celtics, they just have that veteran presence to them. So that's why I would pick those 2 teams.
All right. I'm just saying you can wrap it up.
Oh, I was like, okay, well, yeah, y'all, that signal kind of tripped me
guys, that'll do it. But hey, Chris, don't edit this part out. Just fucking leave it in.
Just leave it in there, I guess. But I just want to give a shout out to all of you guys again that's been tuning in and have been really just showing a lot of support. Like I said, I will leave the Instagram, Spotify, everything down below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And I hope you guys have a great week. We're having another great week of sports. So, like I said, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great week.